The trader role has been in Red Dead Online for a few years now, and this is probably the first role that a lot of people actually get into, mainly because it's tied to the camp, as well as the fact that it's actually probably one of the better ways to make money in Red Dead Online. So today will be a full guide breaking it down, as well as tips and tricks, and also how to get started, make the most amount of money, and more. So if you guys do enjoy these type of guides, definitely subscribe and put up post notifications. Also, don't forget to drop a like. So wasting no time, to get started with the trader role itself, you're going to have to get a letter from Crips, and this is going to be like right after you complete like the tutorial, if you decide to do that, or just pretty much once you start in Red Dead Online. It's going to be like called like a letter from Crips specifically, and you can head over to a post office or even your camp lockbox, and you're able to get started with that. Now, if you do get it from your camp lockbox, of course your camp has to be set up, so if you don't have that ready yet, then you have to get it from the post office instead. And then once you read the letter, you're able to get into the trader role, which is a total of 15 gold bars. Now, throughout the year, Rockstar usually does have a discount on the role itself, which usually is 5 gold bars off, and that could be through a reward or through a month-long thing that's going on. So that's a way to save some gold when it comes to getting into this role. So pretty much a simple breakdown on how this role works. There's going to be a table at your camp, and that is the main like base of operations when it comes to the trader role. To that table, you're going to bring supplies as well as materials, and then it will be produced into goods, which you can actually sell for a decent amount of money. When it comes to the supplies, you have the option if you want to order them, or if you want to, you can actually go ahead and get them yourself. I do recommend just ordering them. It just saves a lot more time, as well as the fact that it's not even that expensive anyways. And as for the materials itself, this is going to be animal parts as well as animal carcasses, where you can bring them over to the trader table, and then you're able to put that to your materials meter. And eventually, you know, obviously the more materials you have, the more production happens, and once you have more production, the more goods are being made. So it's pretty much a simple process. As long as you just keep supplying with materials, as well as make sure that you have supplies, you'll be able to make money from this role. And of course, when it comes to animal itself, depending on how good the quality is, so you know, 3-star, 2-star animals that are in Red Dead Online, as well as like, you know, what type of, you know, part it is of the animal that gets more goods. So if you have a 3-star deer, obviously one that doesn't have like any, you know, damage to it, no bullet holes in the body, all that, then that obviously will give you more materials. But if you just kind of found a deer and you just kind of shot it up and it's still, you know, a 1-star, you're going to get materials, but it's just not going to be as much. So pretty much when you're going to be giving animal carcasses, just make sure that you don't savagely kill the animal. Try to use a bow and arrow, which is a lot more better, or even just killing it by the throat with a knife. Just, you know, that'd be a bit more, you know, resourceful, I guess, in a way, and you'll be able to get more materials out of it. So that's a quick little breakdown on how the trader role itself works. Now, for the upgrades that come with it, there's pretty much like 2 separate ones, which is going to be camp upgrades as well as the trader upgrades. So starting with the camp upgrades, you have theme changes that you could do, as well as tent, flag, equipment, dog, and crip outfit. So the most important thing is going to be the equipment, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So for theme, this is just obviously something that you want to, you know, choose for your table, as well as like things that you want around your camp. So like you have the hobo life, you have bounty hunter, collector, trader, all these things that you can change about your camp, and it's really up to you on how you want to do it. It doesn't really affect anything that much at all. But what does affect something a lot is going to be the tents. So these are going to be actually a lot more better, because the more that you have upgraded, or I guess the more expensive one, is going to be giving more to your character, which is going to be filling your cores by a certain percentage every single one that you have. So I recommend just probably getting the covered, which is the maximum percent. I think it's like 75% of your cores fill a lot more faster when you're resting at camp, and also when you're in free mode. Obviously, if you do want to go from, you know, bedroll over to like, you know, tent lean to, it's up to you, but I just recommend going to covered, or, you know, the fully max once you have the opportunity. And also it might be kind of expensive, but it's going to be worth it. And obviously the changes is going to be kind of dramatic as well. It's not just going to be like a simple little cot on the ground. It's actually going to be like a huge tent. Not that you could really even go inside of it, but it's definitely a nice little like visual upgrade to your camp if you're into that. But besides that, obviously it's just the main thing is going to be the fact that your cores are going to be getting filled faster. And then after that, Rockstar does have the flag upgrades. That's up to you what you want to change. You have a basic or a graphic flag that doesn't really, you know, do that much to the you know, camp environment. And then of course we also have the equipment. This is the big thing that we're talking about for sure. So for the fast travel post, this gives you the ability to fast travel to your camp, and, you know, from it, of course, if you want to go somewhere else. And then the butcher table, of course, is what you're going to actually need in order to get started with the materials, as well as the supplies for your trader role itself. So this is mandatory, of course. The stew pot, this one is, you know, obviously something that it's just cooking wise, and you're able to make stew, which does give you gold cores depending on what you make. If you play the story mode, this is obviously kind of useful, and as well as something that you may already know how to do. And then for the medium and large delivery wagon, I'm pretty sure you have to get the medium one first before you get the large, but this obviously just makes it so that you can hold more goods when you deliver. So of course, the more space that you have in the wagon, the more money that you're making. So that's something that obviously we'll talk about a little bit more. The weapon locker, self-explanatory, stores your weapons, which I think honestly in Red Dead Online it's a lot more useful. Mainly the fact that there's a lot of weapons that obviously you can't even have when you at once. You can't have like every single weapon on you when you get off your horse. So just storing ones that you know you're never going to use, it's just actually kind of good. And I actually have a few weapons over here as well. And then the deluxe campfire pretty much just upgrades your campfire. And also it just speeds up the crafting time when it comes to what you're making, and it also has more seeds. So definitely something that I do recommend looking into for sure. And then of course we also have the dogs, which is really just seen as a pet. You can't really walk them, and I don't think they can ever really leave camp, which kind of sucks. Hopefully Rockstar adds that in a future update, but it's just going to be an animal or a pet that you can have at your camp. And then for the last upgrade, it's going to be Crips outfits. I'm not really sure why Rockstar decides to even have this as an upgrade, because like I shouldn't be paying to upgrade, you know, one of my characters in my camp. I feel like that should be their option or their choice if they want to change their clothing items, but it's up to you. Of course, if you want to change your clothes for Crips, you obviously can do that. So just keep that in mind. And then for the trader upgrades, the main things are going to be the 3 wagons, which is going to be the hunting wagon, the large delivery wagon, and then also the medium delivery wagon. So like I was saying earlier with these wagons, for the medium, you have to have that one first before you get the large one. So this is going to be kind of annoying a little bit, because you start off with the small, which is something that everybody got, you know, kind of gets for free a little bit, or it comes with the roll. And then you upgrade to the medium wagon, which is $500. And then of course after that you upgrade to the large one, which is $875. So again, breaking it down, it just gives you the ability to hold more goods. This is very similar when it comes to some of the other roles in Red Dead Online, such as the Moonshiner role, where you have to get something first before you get the next one in order to make more money with it. So that's something that you should keep in mind. And then for the hunting wagon, this is going to be useful because when it comes to holding multiple carcasses as well as animal parts, you can't obviously put that all on your horse or on your person. So having a hunting wagon makes it easier because you're able to store most of that stuff in there. And I'll be talking more about that a little bit when it comes to, you know, obviously getting the most amount of materials. Now, as for the trader pass itself, just like every other role, there are going to be some things in it that do benefit you. So there's a lot to go through, honestly, and it really just depends on the person. Some people may feel like this is more interesting, such as like the horses, as well as like certain hairstyles might be in the trader pass. But it's really just depends on what type of person you are and what you're really into. But the main important things when it comes to this role would be the fact that you obviously have to be at certain levels, which is going to be like level 10 unlocks the medium wagon, and then level 15 unlocks the large delivery wagon. And then besides that, if you want to look at the horses as well as other holsters, you can, but those are going to be the main important things when it comes to making money from the trader role itself. Now let's get into the big thing, which is going to be how to hunt, as well as also how to get the most amount of materials where you can get the most amount of money when it comes to the trader role itself. So the main thing to do is to put your camp in a location that has a high spawn of specific animals, which I would recommend would be like the cougars as well as bucks. Also, bison are really good animals as well when it comes to getting the most amount of materials from them, and they're actually pretty easy to kill. The best way, of course, would be to kill them with the bow and arrow or using the lasso. It just depends on a certain animal. Every animal has a different amount of material units, but those do obviously give the most. It just, you know, going to those specific locations, as well as using, you know, hunting maps on Red Dead Online. I'll leave a link in the description, by the way, will be able to give you the most amount of, you know, benefits when it comes to finding exactly where these animals are going to spawn in. However, the best way though for sure to get materials, the quickest way out of all of them, would be to use the naturalist role. So if you do end up having that role, the best way would be to start one of the legendary animal missions from Harriet, and instead of sedating the animal, you end up just killing it. Obviously the mission will be considered as failed, but you're still able to get the animal carcass, and then you can end up putting that in the back of your hunting wagon or taking it to your camp. Honestly, putting in the hunting wagon is a lot more better and safer, because if you end up, you know, crashing or if something happens, then you obviously will lose the carcass and you wasted your time. So I do recommend always having the hunting wagon ready after you complete one of these missions, or even after you're just hunting in the free roam as well. Just make sure you have that. So that's why it's definitely one of the best important upgrades to get in Red Dead Online. So that's the way I recommend for everybody. If you have the naturalist role, that's the quickest and best way to get materials the fastest. It gives you pretty much almost half the bar most of the time. Every animal does have, you know, different materials sets, just like the regular ones in free mode. I put, you know, on the screen to show you which one gives the most. But regardless, though, most of them give a lot. So if you just go for any of the legendary animals, you're able to get that. Also, they do end up spawning in free mode, of course. So if you do see them, instead of sedating, again, just kill them and put them in your hunting wagon. So that's something else that can help a lot when it comes to the trader role. So obviously, once you have enough materials, as well as also make sure that you are consistently ordering supplies, you'll be able to see that you will have 100 out of 100 goods. This honestly could take a few more hours. This is kind of one of the more passive businesses. Once you put like, you don't have to put the, full bar when it comes to materials, but if you have like halfway, as long as it's producing, that's what matters. And you have to be on the game for it to be, producing as well. So you could just be doing other things, other roles, other missions, whatever, while that's happening. And then once you are able to get enough, you can sell at whatever point that you feel is correct. When you are first starting, I'd probably recommend to just sell, it could just be like 10 goods, a few goods. And honestly, I say that really because it just gives you the opportunity to, obviously make money, which isn't that much, but you'll mainly be making trader XP, which is going to help you to level up in the role so you can unlock the other wagons. And that's kind of what I did when I first started. So that's something I'd probably recommend doing. You're not going to make that much money when you first start, especially if you don't have any other roles to help out, but that's definitely the way to go for sure. And then after that, once you do end up having like, one of the more larger delivery wagons or the large delivery wagon, you're able to make, a lot more money. And then you obviously have two options, which is going to be the normal deliveries. Then also you have the, long distance deliveries. So if you have the large delivery wagon, you're able to get 500 from normal, and long distance is 650. Of course, you're only getting this amount of money if you do have 100 out of 100 goods, which is what I would recommend selling once you get, the large delivery wagon, and not selling anything under that. And for the distances itself, I mean, normal delivery probably is going to take like around like 5 to 10 minutes to do, but long distance could take a little bit more than that. And I mean, obviously you're getting a benefit going more farther, but it is obviously a lot more risky since there can be more players that do end up spawning in and trying to kill you. From what I've seen in the community of Red Dead Online, most people don't really care, and they'll probably even help you if anything. So that's something that you should keep in mind. So I'll most of the time at least go for long distance delivery if you have the time. Also keep in mind, if you do end up doing trader delivery with friends, you do actually get paid for it. So you get paid, and then of course your friends also get paid. I think it's like half of that, or like a certain percentage. So that's something obviously that really pushes people to want to help in Red Dead Online, because you're getting paid and it's not going to be like trash amount of money. It's actually pretty good. So it definitely encourages, to do stuff with friends. So that's something I also, would recommend a lot. So the main tips when it comes to the trader role is that if you do have a group of friends trying to make money, I recommend doing, sales with them. When you first start out, always make sure that you do little sales, even if it's just like 1 good, 2 goods, whatever. You might as well just do it just to build your trader XP, as well as making a decent amount of money from it. Also, if you ever end up destroying your trader wagon, you don't actually end up losing the product. It becomes into, like bags that you can actually carry, and you can put them on your horse or carry them yourself, and you're able to still make money from the trader itself. And of course, owning the naturalist role is going to be one of the biggest benefits when it comes to the trader, when it's just going to make it a lot more easier. So I'm not saying to buy them exactly at the same time, but just know if you do have one or the other, it's going to benefit both of them together. So once you end up, leveling and getting, a lot more money from other roles as well as other missions in Red Dead Online, you're able to purchase the large delivery wagon. That's the main thing to go for, as well as the hunting wagon. Once you have the trader role with it, it's just going to be a pretty simple cycle of just doing legendary missions, doing maybe like 1 or 2 of them, and then after that, just delivering the carcasses over to your camp, and you're able to just get the materials, buy the resupply missions. If you want to, of course, you can do it, but I recommend just buying it, and then from there, it just becomes a cycle. You just level up your goods, and then there you go. You just end up selling and making the most amount of money that you can make. So it's really simple, and it's something that I think a lot of people do enjoy. I think the naturalist role really made it a lot more better. When it came to before it, it's not that it was difficult, but it just took a lot more time to get, a lot more materials. But when it comes to, this now, it's just a lot more easier. So overall, probably one of the best roles that we have in Red Dead Online, and it's something I do recommend checking out. But if you guys enjoyed this guide or found this helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Also drop a like. Hope you guys enjoy, subscribe, and put on post notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.